point, we know we have to set the demand equal to the supply, and we have 1800 over the square root of x plus 1 equals 2 the square root of x plus 1. Good. Any suggestions on how to proceed? Of course, I see that I can divide both sides by 2, and I will do that. So I have 900 over the square root of x plus 1 equals the square root of x plus 1. I divided the left-hand side by 2 and the right-hand side by 2 to simplify it as much as I could. Okay, how do we proceed? And again, this is just algebra. What do we need to do now to solve for x?
You multiply both sides by the square root of
Yes,
x plus 1?
Because it's a proportion. That's the best thing to remember. Good, so 900 times 1 equals this times this, which is x plus 1. All I have to do is subtract 1, and I get that x equals 899. So the equilibrium point is 899, comma, something. So I have x, now I have to determine y. How do I do that? Go back to any of the functions. They are equal at this point. So 899 plus 1 is 900. The square root of 900 is 30. 30 times 2 is 60.
Can you do that y again? How did you find that?
You mean the 60?
Yeah.
I plugged it in. 899 plus 1 is 900. The square root of 900 is 30. 30 times 2. Is that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Good. So now I have two formulas to think about. Hopefully we understood them. The consumer surplus equals the integral from 0 to 899 from the demand function minus 899 times 60. And the producer surplus is 899 times 60 minus the integral from 0 to 899 from the other function, which is the supply function. This is it. Yes, we have to calculate them, but this is it. They're just two simple formulas. The consumer surplus, the integral from 0 to 899 to the x value of the x coordinate of the equilibrium point, minus the area. But the producer surplus is from the area. I subtract what is under the supply function. Again, let me show you on the graph so you remember them. This is very easy once you remember, you understand the graph. So to determine the consumer surplus, I take the area under the demand function and I subtract the rectangle, the area of the rectangle. But for the producer surplus, from the area of the rectangle, I subtract the area under the graph of the supply function. Good, so now let's take them aside and calculate the areas. I mean the integrals. So the consumer surplus, I'm going to write it again. And how much is this 899 times 60? I got 53940. 53940. Okay, good. So let's look at the integral. Any suggestions? Let y be, and then dy. As we promised, that's why we studied substitution.
Would y be x plus 1?
Absolutely.
Y is dx?
Indeed. Nice. Very good. Good. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so then we have the integral from 1800 goes outside. 1 over the square root of y will be y to negative 1/2 dy. We cannot copy the limits of integration from x to y. We have to determine them. When x is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. When x is 899, 899 plus 1 is 900. Minus 53,940. Let's stop for a moment. Is this okay? Any questions, anybody? Good. We keep 1800. Stop me if you have questions. 1800 outside. Y to negative 1/2 plus 1 is y to 1/2 over 1/2 from 1 to 900 minus 53,940. I flip the 1/2 and I get 3600. I take the square root from 900, which is 30, minus I take the square root from 1, which is 1, minus 53,940. And now I'm just going to calculate 3600, multiply by 29, and minus 53940. And I got 50460. 50,460. This is the consumer surplus. When we purchase 899 units at the price of 60 per unit. Huge, right? Okay, so that's the consumer surplus. Now we want to determine the producer surplus. So the producer surplus is the same number, 53,940, minus this integral now, from 0 to 899 to the square root of x plus 1 dx. Good. The same substitution, y equals x plus 1, dy equals dx. So we have 53,940 minus the integral to outside and y to 1/2 and dy. But we have to change the limits of integration. Same limits when x is 0, y is 1. When x is 899, I have 900. Good. So 53,940 minus 2. Y to 3/2 over 3/2 from 1 to 900. Okay, let's stop for a second and let's see if we have questions before we continue. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so now I have to flip 2/3. So I have 53,940 minus 4/3. When I plug in 900, the square root of 900 is 30, but 30 to the 3rd power, minus 1 to the 3rd power. So let's analyze this for one more time. So on the side here, 900 to 3/2. First, I take the square root of 900 and I get 30, but then I have to put the power. So that's why I get 30 to the 3rd power, minus 1. Okay, so let's see what I get real quick here. So I have 53,640 minus, in parentheses, 4 divided by 3, please, careful here. And then 30 to the 3rd power, and then minus 1. And enter. 17,641.33. So the producer surplus, whenever we decide to purchase 899 units at the price of 60 per unit. What they keep for themselves without telling us is 17,641. But this is huge when we buy 899 units of a product at the price of 60 per product, per unit. Good. There is nothing else we need to cover from this section, but I'd like to look at the word problem now. So I just wanted to show you there are other topics that are not covered in this class, something called dead weight, and so on and so forth. Okay. And the price ceiling. These things are specific to economics, and we do not cover them in this class. This is all we cover. The producer surplus, the consumer surplus at the equilibrium point or any other point with the same formula. So if you see something else in here, the deadweight loss and other things, we don't cover those. The price floor, okay? And then after that, the new producer surplus, etc., etc. Just these two topics. Okay, so let's look at a word problem. See how this works. It's the same idea. The formula is the same, but we have to look at word problems, please. Okay, this is my page 9. Good. So Beth enjoys skydiving and is willing to pay P dollars right here. That's the P. So this is 15 on page 480. So the demand, in other words, is 7.5x squared minus 60.5x plus 254. Okay. Find Beth's consumer surplus if she makes 2 jumps. This is not the equilibrium point. We don't even know what the supply function is at this point. So they are giving us the demand function, and they say, find her consumer surplus, her added value, her enjoyment that she does not get money for, that she already pays for, in other words, if she does or she makes 2 jumps. Okay, for X, 2 jumps. So this is the demand function. Here is the number of units, X number of units, number of jumps. And we do not know the price per jump. We have to determine it. So this is price per unit. And then we are asked to find this. I meant to write consumer surplus, of course. Good. So what do I need to find first?
The price per unit.
Yes. How do I find the price per unit? Right here.
Plug in X.
Exactly. So let's do that. Good. In y equals, clear anything and everything you have. And we punch in 7.5 x squared, and then minus 60.5x, and plus 254. And did I enter it correctly? Yes. So now I'm going to go to second table, plug in 2, and it's 163. So $163 per unit. So she's going to pay 2 times 163 total for 2 jumps. And we're asked to find the consumer surplus. Can anyone give us the formula for the consumer surplus in this case? And of course, the demand function is this.
So it's the integral from 0 to 2 of the demand function minus 2 times 163.
Excellent. This is it. So at this point, it doesn't have to be the equilibrium point. At any point, we can determine the consumer surplus. Is it okay if I use the calculator because everybody knows how to calculate this? Or you can say no, and I'll show step by step. You decide.
Can you show us how to put in
Absolutely.
the calculator one more time?
Oh, you wanna directly in the calculator?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Good. Do you want me to record this?
Yes, please.
Perfect. So I'm going to kindly ask you to turn off your cameras so I can record the screen. Good. As you know, I never record the screen without asking you. Ashton, please turn off your camera for a second. The flag is wonderful. Good. Thank you. Okay, so let me start more record. Okay, so we go to math. We select 9. Okay, from scratch. We go to math. We select 9. And we enter 0 to 2. And we have 7.5x squared minus 60.5x. And plus 254. Of course, dx. Minus, in one line, don't do this in 2 steps, 2 times 163. When I press enter, this will be the value added, the surplus, $81 for 2 jumps. So she's paying 2 times 163. And she's enjoying extra the 81, okay, without paying for it. So, I'm gonna stop. I forgot to stop the recording. Okay, I lost it. I don't think it recorded. I don't think it recorded it. Okay, sorry. So keep your cameras off. I don't think I recorded it. Did you get the message saying that it was recording? Now it's recording. Okay, good. One more second. Allow me to do this again. Okay, so we want to determine. We go to math. And we go to 9. And I put in 0 to 2. And we get 7.5x squared, and then minus 60.5x, and plus 254. 254, don't forget the x, and then minus 2 times 163. When we hit enter, we get $81, meaning stop recording. Yes, okay. Meaning she is actually paying this amount for 2 jumps, but she's getting the extra surplus at $81 without somebody giving it to her in her hand. She's enjoying extra value in the value of $81. Good. And now let's go back to the second question, second part. Suppose a supply function for the center, whatever is given by S of x equals 15x plus 95. Find the producer surplus if they sell her those two jumps. So now we want the producer surplus for the same two jumps, same number. What do I need to